Greetings. This is General CJG here, coming to you with the latest video where we're going to be discussing a quick short story from Star Wars Tales issue 23. It's called Shadow and Light. And joining me here, I got...
This is the Spider-Man Maniac. Good to be here.
Okay, yep. And well, without further ado, we're discussing this one. So, do you want to give some background info on this one, Doan? More specifically, where it takes place and when it takes place?
This thing takes place 3 years after. Oh, not exactly. More like I think it's like 2 years before the epilogue of the comic Tales of the Jedi: The Sith War. At the end epilogue, there's like Ula Keldroma is visiting Yavin again to see what happened, and Exar Kun is trapped there with Ulik not able to, hear him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That thing, this comic is set like 2 years before that event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And let's see, and it is set many years before Knights of the Old Republic game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. And this story specifically deals about a certain event that we hear about, but we never really see in the game. We only see the aftermath of it. And well, shall we get on with it, Doan?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the first pages we see several Jedi fighting some sort of a creature, and this creature, well, they manage to kill it. Then they go back to their shuttle, and then they report to the Jedi Council. They basically are talking about the Taranted tech. Yep. This is the Great Hunt that was referenced in Knights of the Old Republic 1, where basically Duran Kildroma, Shelanur, and Gunhan Saresh, basically they formed their small team of Jedi to pretty much go and exterminate all the Taranted tech, because they were pretty dangerous, because these creatures, they are very strong in the dark side, and they kill plenty of Jedi. So,
Yeah, and they're really hard to kill in the game also.
yeah, that too. Indeed. So they're discussing, and they said the hunt is over, but there is one planet that they have left to pretty much deal with the Tarantic, and it's Korriban, and they have some disagreements if they should go or not, but well, then basically they have the disagreements, and then two of the Jedi are pretty much talking together, and even kind of sharing a bit of a moment together, and they seem to be bonding pretty closely, which yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Then we see the Jedi Council pretty much discussing that the team that will go on exterminate Tech, they're going to leave for Korriban tomorrow, and they don't like it, but they basically say there's no choice. We're gonna have to pretty much let them go. So, yeah, and they went to Korriban, and they're pretty much there in a cantina of sorts, pretty much just keeping a low profile, seeing what they can do, and they basically find somewhere to relax, settle down before they make their next move. And Duran Kildroma is getting visions from the past and the future, more specifically the future, and what is going to happen. And well, he's getting the visions, and then Shala tries to comfort Kildroma, but then they're stopped by Gunhan Saresh, and Twi'lek is not happy. He's like, this is a disgrace. I saw this coming. I tried to warn you. Not cool. You should know that Jedi do not form attachments. There is no passion. There is serenity. Sound familiar? And he pretty much is like, you two are going down the path of the dark side. And, well, they get into a big disagreement, and, well, Gurhan pretty much leaves them all together, and Shaila and Kildroma stay together. So that's how it is. And Gunhar goes to Kashyyyk 3 days later, goes all the way down to the Shadowlands, and he puts a trap to lure the Tarantic, but the Tarantic killed him. So yeah, that was short-lived. And then, meanwhile, Kildroma and Shaela are looking into Korriban to pretty much go and fight Threntek. And they managed to kill one, but Duran was pretty much brutally wounded. And he gets a final cutscene of Revan apparently defeating Malek. And so he pretty much dies at peace, knowing that, yeah, all along he was meant to die there just to pretty much help Revan in some way, I guess by his remnants helping Revan somehow. And then Shaela goes further into the tomb of Nagasato to pretty much go and kill the last Torrentatex, and she didn't do it. And that's the end of it. That's where it all ends. So yeah, what do you think of this one, Doan?
It was a short comic, but there was like a couple of details that are shown here that was interesting, like how species or certain locations we know from the game appearing, which we'll discuss later.
I like this comic. It was pretty interesting. It's definitely a story that you heard a few times in the game, and definitely it's great that we can actually see it being illustrated and everything. It was awesome. So, yeah, I definitely really enjoyed it here. So, anything else you want to discuss on this one, Doan, before we go to I guess the obvious DU connections?
Yeah, there was the obvious thing. It says like it's after 3 years after the war of Exar Kun. That is mentioned, but that has no other effect on the story itself. Other than I guess that was written there to show what place this comic takes place. Is that the only purpose of that being mentioned?
That probably is the only reason why it's there. Yeah.
And when you play the game, it isn't clear whether Duran Keldroma is related to Uli Keldroma, and the comic confirms that yes, they are related and they're cousins.
Yeah, indeed. So definitely cousins. It is interesting that he wasn't mentioned in. Well, he was mentioned in KOTOR, obviously, but Tales of the Jedi. It is interesting. Or was he actually mentioned in one of Tales of the Jedi comics?
And then Twin Enclave does appear, and that kind of looks different from the version we saw in Tales of the Jedi. Resembles more of the video games version than the one depicted for the comic. And what really gets on my nerves is that this comic, despite being set during the period of Tales of the Jedi, has more of the quote-unquote real Star Wars aesthetics instead of the Tales of the Jedi aesthetics, which is, really weird considering the timeline.
Yeah, it is weird. Obviously, it was made to resemble more the Knights of the Old Republic games, but yeah, timeline-wise, yeah, it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, it is. It can be. It is jarring. And did we ever get any real explanation on the differences of the art styles? I guess 40 years time gap would be one, but in this comic, that does not seem to be. That does not
Yeah,
seem to work.
yeah, because this thing is supposedly set 3 years after Exar Kun War, right? Which means like 7 years later, if you go to the storyline Redemption, it's gonna start to look like Tales of the Jedi again. So it makes absolutely no sense why it looks like this.
Yeah, it makes no sense. So this definitely was a bit of a blunder on the penciler guy, the colorer guy. So yeah, the art is definitely screwed up. So
And we can see that there's a cell cut Jedi Master, which I'm thinking like he's only there because well KOTOR introduced the species and he appears there. But
yeah.
we do get a familiar looking face, which is Master Brooke Lamar when he was younger. Yet he still somehow looks old.
Yeah, I guess they decided to draw him that way for some reason. That's probably what it is. Who knows with that? Who are the other Jedi that are in the council? Who are they? I guess they have shown up later. One of them is called Aleko Stusa, and the others are Yeah, one of them is called Balanisi, and like definitely characters that I don't think we ever see later on in the future. I believe.
Yeah, I think one character does appear. Who was that? Uh, one of the female Jedi members. I think her name was
One of them is called Aleko Stusia, and the other is Balanisi.
Alanisi. Yeah, I think that's the one because she actually appears in the Knights of the Old Republic comics
Huh. Okay, well, I guess she did get some more spotlight besides just this story.
for 2 issues.
At least it's something, because Aleko Stusia has nothing. This is her only appearance, and only the complete Star Wars Encyclopedia mentions her.
Yeah, and then what is also mentioned is like Duron is judged because Brooke Lamar does not trust Duron because he's yet another Keldroma and fell to the dark side. So I think this may be earlier, but we can see Brooke Lamar's stubbornness, which can be also seen during the Mandalorian Wars and also seen during Knights of the Old Republic. It was always like this.
Well, I guess. Yeah, that definitely put some stigma in the Kildroma name. And yeah, this is what happens because of what Oleg's decisions did. So, there you go.
And then we see the city Reshada. Wait, is that how you pronounce it?
I always called it Dresh Day.
And this place looks. Yeah, this thing does not look like anything we saw in the video game. In fact, this area doesn't actually appear, so I don't know what is this place anyway.
It's labeled as an unidentified Dresh Day cantina.
I mean, look at the city. There's actually city, right?
There is a city of sorts, yeah.
And then it also, at some point, there's a Koran mentioning he knows a half-breed Masasi. I'm pretty sure Exar Kun got all of them killed, so I don't know what is actually happening. They were
Uh,
sacrificed as his spirit to live on forever.
I mean, were there any Masasi that were not, in Yavin 4? Did a few of them leave the planet?
Or who knows, maybe one of them from Vicious Empire somehow managed to find themselves in Korriban.
Probably. That's probably the case.
Yeah, that's probably the most logical answer I can think of.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, and as for other connections to the expanded universe, well, because this story is short, there's not many. Other than apparently this comic was one of the first that introduced a very strong alcoholic beverage that was created on Terrace, but it was first mentioned in KOTOR, but its first appearance is actually here. So I guess that's a reference to KOTOR, and this one showed up in SWOTOR and even Legacy of the Force Bloodlines, which that's something. And of course, Quarter One and Tales of the Jedi, both of them are heavily referenced here for obvious
Oh,
reasons.
okay. One thing that is awkward is like, who was the Twi'lek Jedi because he was seducing another Twi'lek Sith apprentice in Korriban. Weird thing about that is like there's a Sith apprentice, which I'm pretty sure after Exar Kun, was defeated, they all were killed or ran away from the known galaxy or something. Yet, I mean, there's like a functioning Sith academy and Sith apprentice around. Like, what is going on with this? Why is there Sith presence? Why is there still a Sith academy? Why are there Sith apprentices? Like,
Oh
what is the
yeah,
Republic doing?
oh yeah, that's true. And this is supposed to be a yeah. This hasn't even been like 40. Oh god, yeah, yeah. I see what you mean here. We're not even close to Knights of the Old Republic once events, and now we already have a Sith Academy that quickly. Like,
Yeah, like what is the Republic doing? Shouldn't they like track down all the Sith, hunt them down? And yet, Sith apprentice here does not seem to, be cautious. Like she's just walking around freely.
okay, so according to info I found, so apparently this the academy was already established in 3996 BBY. So literally the freaking same time that Exar Kun died. Apparently it was by one of the disciples of Exar Kun, Jorak Un. You know, the crazy guy that you pretty much kill in the
Yeah.
tomb. So that's pretty much why there's. So the Sith Academy already existed at least for 3 years in Korriban, so that's why.
Yeah, but I think that's more KOTOR's fault, maybe, because I'm pretty sure the Republic knows, the Sith ancestral homeworld and tries to, basically shut down any Sith presence, even
The
if X-Men was killed.
this info I got apparently is from two essential guides: the Complete Star Wars Encyclopedia and the Essential Atlas.
I mean, yeah, Jorak Owen, we actually see the crazy old Jedi in the game, but I mean, it's kind of a stretch to, believe that the Republic actually let the Sith get away,
For three
and
years.
still have their for yeah, like for 30 something years.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, it's definitely weird. Yeah, we know that the Academy is a thing, but yeah, the Republic. I guess because it's Korriban, they're kind of afraid of it, or at least the Jedi. I don't know about the Republic itself. It's weird. It's odd. Who
And
knows what they were doing all this time?
we're all seeing Duron having visions about terrorists bombing Vastala. And I guess that's Zerka and,
Yeah, Circa
slavery
basically.
Kashyyyk.
Yeah, basically slaving the Wookiees in Kashyyyk, and of course Malik.
Yeah.
So it's
And then
basically
Kashyyyk looks like what it was in the video game, which is, I think, is good.
yeah, indeed.
And Korriban. Yeah. Korriban is another case of not looking really similar to what was in Tales of the Jedi. The aesthetics looks like what it was in Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, to be honest, the design for Knights of the Old Republic design was like better in my opinion, but still, the visual continuity is completely broken.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, visuals. The visuals for Korriban, yeah, they're just inconsistent as they've always been in the comics in the 90s and 2000s because they can never settle on how it should look like. Which annoying, but have to deal with it, unfortunately. So yeah, some other connections I've noticed in this one. I noticed that the fighter that, well, actually not a connection, but more like an interesting fact where apparently Gunhard, the way he arrives to Kashyyyk, is one of those Sith fighters. Yeah, those Sith fighters that we see in
Oh,
Order One.
I think that's the looks like the one Bastila flying.
Oh, I thought it was just one of those casual fighters that you just blast off in the turret section.
Uh,
Yeah,
and yeah, and the enemies also appeared that flying dinosaur looking things. Those things are a lot in
in the game.
Kashyyyk.
Yeah, indeed. Apparently, the sword that you get in the Kashyyyk section of KOTOR, which basically is used to fight the well, not for fighting the turret tank, but more like basically you have to combine the sword to pretty much actually either help Salvar's father to defeat his brother or the opposite. So interesting that we got mastery on that sword here.
And what's weird is like Duran mentions that he has a vision and Rebel will use the Keldroma robe. But if you actually play the KOTOR first game, there's no actual robes. They don't have like the things that look like cape behind their backs. It's more like a vest. And yet this thing looks like it's an actual robe. So and the Gruma robe actually does not really look like what is drawn in the what is actually in the video game.
Yeah.
So
There's
I do not know what this thing is. Like if you people are trying to make a tie into a video game, then make it consistent.
Yeah, but they didn't do that. And then, of course, Shayla goes into the tomb. Because she was so full of anger, the Torrentex pretty much completely murdered her easily. And yeah.
I also find that there's also the Rakata, the star maps, and you see Revan, defeating Malek, which the scene makes absolutely no sense because in the vision, Revan is wearing a helmet, and yet in the game you actually have no way of getting Revan's helmet.
Well,
And this robe doesn't even make sense because the engine does not support this kind of costume.
obviously, when it comes to the rope, obviously that's because technical limitations. Well, in regards to Robin's identity, this comic released in 2005, which basically means that was a time before we even knew Revan's actual identity, if he even was male or female. So that's probably
No, we actually did know.
to
This
the
came out in
central.
2005, and Chronicles of the Old Republic came out in 2004.
Yeah, and what did that one say? How did it
Refers Revan as a he.
refers it as a
No.
he? Yeah. Those were those chronicles actually canon?
As canon as it's supposed to be, but the people who wrote that didn't do their research properly, and there's some contradictions.
Then that one is a grain of salt. But
But it does
however,
confirm Revan's, whether he's a man or a woman.
the one that confirmed it, like legitimately, at least for a while until other sources confirm it, like KOTOR, was the new Essential Chronology. That one pretty much said, yeah, it's a he. So, and that one came out until November, like late 2005, months after Episode 3 had released. So that was the one. So it seems that in this time that they were making this comic, they still were not really sure. So that's probably why it has the mask still. Annoying, but that's how it is.
And let's see. There's the tomb of Nagasado.
Which does look like the game. I'll give it credit. Well, except for
Not
the
really. It doesn't look like the game.
except for the
There's
biggest
no such
statue.
tomb with that head up. In fact, I don't think you actually get to see any tomb of anyone in the first KOTOR game. I think, you remember the section in KOTOR 2 where you enter a tomb and you have force visions of your past, right?
Uh, I guess don't
I think
remember.
this is more of a KOTOR 2 thing because
It's Quarter Two.
this thing was not
Okay,
in,
so in Quarter One you do enter the Tomb of Nagasado. It's just that the only thing is at the door. I don't remember having a bigger statue right on top of it. So
I don't think you actually get to see the head.
yeah, I don't even think so either. Like I don't think the front door, I definitely don't think was there. But at least the inside, I do think it is fairly accurate to the game. That I do think so, but that's about it as far as I know.
And about I keep forgetting, Shayla Nur. Supposedly, she leaps a data pad, right? After she dies before she dies in KOTOR, in this comic, which, your character Revan could actually find that during the game, but I don't think there's any time for her in this comic where she has time to write anything down a data pad. Because this thing
Unless
happens pretty fast and she dies almost instantly.
unless the data pad was recording or something, but doubt it. So
Yeah.
so who knows on that. So there is that. I don't see what else we can say on this one, unless you got something else to say, though. One.
Not really.
Well, then I guess now we go into the conclusion. So, final thoughts on this one?
It was a short comic. It was fun to read, but there are very little connections to the actual game since, the three's story didn't really matter other than some deeper lore, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. As for me, yeah, pretty short story. Pretty interesting read. Some good visuals and storytelling, definitely interesting and short. But for what it is pretty good. So yeah, definitely worth reading, especially if you're into Knights of the Old Republic 1. And that's pretty much all I gotta say. So yeah, so we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye bye.
Alright.